Hi, I'm Mick and this is Movies TV Mad, and you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. I've been saying this since 2020 when the Flash movie was announced as at the beginning of a multiversal strategy. The multiverse strategy. I said this movie is so important. If anything goes wrong with this movie, they're in so much trouble. Guess what? Something has gone wrong with this movie. Now, looking at it from the outside, it looks like the movie is very good. It looks like they've done a great job with the movie, which is the most important thing. But unfortunately, their actors had a meltdown. And this is the direct reason why it's been delayed. So why delay it? They were hoping if they delayed it till June that people will forget what's going on with Ezra Miller. You see, they knew what was happening. They clearly knew the guy was unbalanced. They made him, this studio made him shoot 2 movies back to back. What were they thinking? So clearly they delayed the movie before the Hawaii incident, but they knew there was problems, and their worst fears came to life, came true, because he was arrested, charged and bailed. And now it's a PR disaster. But this is why they delayed the movie. They were hoping that he would be okay. They weren't banking on him getting arrested and it all coming out in the public persona. So everybody knows now what's going on with this lad. And what do they do now? Carry on like this and hope that everybody forgets what's going on by next June? It's a big gamble, as I say, because this is the beginning. This movie is the beginning of multiverse strategy, of a reboot for the DC Extended Universe. Everything is banking on this movie. And I said it back then. If you go back to my videos, I said it back then. If anything went wrong with the Flash movie, the whole strategy of a multiverse and a reboot of the DCEU would be in tatters. And here we are now. What do you do if you're there? Do you remove him now? Do you cast someone else and reshoot the movie? Do you just wait till June and hope for the best? This is the situation now, isn't it? I don't know what I would do. You don't know what you would do. But here's the facts, right? Now, we've got to be careful here because maybe he has got some mental health issues, right? Clearly, he does. But here's the problem. Even though he most probably has mental health problems and they knew he had mental health problems and still made him make 2 movies back to back, you have no idea how difficult that is. It's hard work to make a movie. It's not all red carpets and smiles. You have to go there every day. You have to get your makeup. You have to rehearse. You have to do take after take after take. And you have to learn your lines. It isn't easy. It's emotionally draining. However awesome and fun kind of the process of making a movie is, it's very difficult and it's very stressful. And clearly, either he's had a mental break before this, or clearly from the reports we heard that he was breaking down during the movie as well, and still they carried on and they made the entire movie. Clearly being sympathetic with the lad, because clearly there's a problem here, but let's not forget his victims, who are just, well, I would say innocent in all this, but we don't know all the facts. Because apparently the people whose house he went back into and threatened, he was living with them apparently. We don't know the facts here. I'm not here to, hold a trial, against Ezra Miller and try him. I don't care about what celebrities do. I want people to be safe and happy and well, of course I do. But ultimately, that's not my priority. I'm a DC fan, and I knew this film was important to finally getting a successful DCEU franchise that we could all brag about to MCU fans, mocking us all the time. And here we are. I suppose that's pretty selfish, isn't it? To worry about the film rather than the actor. It's not like I'm not worried and I don't care, but I can't help him. It's not like he's going to come to me for help and I'm going to sit him down and say, look, Ez, you know, this, that and the other. You really need to spend a year talking to a counsellor, and maybe he needs medication. Maybe he's already on medication for mental health problems. We don't know. It's not really our business, of course, but when it becomes a public thing like this, of course, it is our business. But what happens to this movie now is very important. You know, you've got the option of sacking him now, reshooting the movie, because some people are claiming that, well, he's not able mentally to do press. They're worried about him doing press in November. Well, it was supposed to get released in November, but ultimately the press would have started earlier than that. So they were clearly worried about that, and they thought, let's delay this then. But what if he's still not in the condition to do press next year? Do they delay it again? This calls and stinks, really, that there's time. This is time now for a ruthless decision. And that decision must be made. Now, for me personally, I'd be very tempted to, make sure he gets the help that he needs and maybe remove him from the project. Now, that would come across as unsympathetic if he's suffering with mental health problems. But they've invested a hell of a lot in this movie. And it's not just the financial element, it's the fact that this movie is the beginning, in a way, of a brand new franchise. And as I said, in 2020, this movie had to work. People had to love this movie. Now, the test screening reactions would say that, in fact, they do like the movie, the people who have seen it. And that's good. It looks like Andy Muschietti and everyone, including Ezra, have done a super job. But they have a problem here. And this is clearly the reason why they delayed the movie. There'll be loads of Flash fans out there wondering what to think, what's going to happen. So, listen, I would be tempted to remove him altogether, but as I say, that would probably be a problem, because if it's a mental health problem, the studio don't want the PR to be bad. The PR is already bad, by the way. There's no way in, wrapping it up in cotton wool. It's bad. The stuff he's done is really bad, but if the guy needs help, the guy needs help. I know everyone's chewing up to take a kick at this lad. I understand that. And that's not my intention. I don't like, kicking someone when they're down. But there is a serious concern here. So if he needs help, then that means he may be out of action for a very long time. But considering they've delayed the movie, if he can get the help he needs, maybe next year things will be okay. But it's the reputation now. People say the mainstream audience won't care. People care. People know. Everybody knows, right? Everybody knows what's happened this week and last week. They tried to make this situation go away in the public arena by leaking, either him or his people or Warner Brothers, leaking the test screenings and the positive reactions. This was a tactic. Those leaks didn't come from nowhere. So, all right, let's say we don't sack him, because that would be a bit cruel, thinking about it a bit deeper, right? So then you just have to allow him to get the help he needs. He should never have made 2 back-to-back movies. That hasn't helped the situation, obviously. And so you just got to hope by next year he's okay. But this is clearly the reason. The truth of the matter is, they were banking on Ezra Miller being the new lead of the DCEU. That's clear. This is the first movie in a rebooted franchise. He was going to be their Henry Cavill from Man of Steel. This is the Man of Steel of the brand new DCEU. And this guy was going to be leading this franchise. And it's clear that this guy is somewhat a little bit unbalanced. But I've seen him before at DC Fandom. Even at DC Fandom, he didn't look right. So this has been an issue for a very long time. The reality is Ezra may not be able to sort himself out. And then what do? Do you just carry on regardless? So this is the question now. The movie has been put away till June. They can hope, they can sit there and don't take any action and hope for the best. The problem is, this situation isn't under wraps. It's in the public arena. We know about it. So people are still going to be, because people don't sympathise with him. I sympathise with him actually, and a few other people do, but mostly people have wanted to take a chunk out of Ezra Miller for a very long time. And so that's the issue here. Do you wait and hope for the best, or do you say, right, this is a messy situation. This situation is going to cost us. I mean, it's not like we haven't dealt with problematic actors before. And, you know, and I'm talking in the past 20 or 30 years. I mean, Sean Penn's been in the industry for years. He was accused of, you know, being a bit abusive towards Madonna. And so there are actors out there that have done bad things and still get to work. So they may take the Hollywood line of, let's just let it go away. We've delayed it till next year. It'll be fine. People will forget about it. And maybe people will forget about it. But it's a gamble because this film is so important. And like people are rightly asking, what happens to Batgirl? What happens to this Batgirl movie? Does it have to come out afterwards, before the movie? Clearly they were going to release this movie of, you know, in December of this year, and The Flash was going to be released in November. So it was always coming just after the Flash movie. Could you still release it now? This is what I mean. The other movies have changed dates because The Flash has changed dates. It's a domino effect. And so there's no right way or wrong way in dealing with this. And I think, yes, the studio were absolutely dumb to get the lad to make 2 back-to-back projects. You know, if anything, they should have put Fantastic Beasts to one side. They rushed that one out as well. They delayed it a little bit. So it was never a good idea to put pressure on someone who clearly can't handle much pressure. And not only that, making the face of this brand new franchise, that's a lot of pressure on one person. And welcome to Hollywood. They don't give a shit. Oh yeah, they pretend they care about compassion and kindness and people's well-being, but ultimately they don't. And so we're here now with a delayed movie. I did say there was a dark reason for these delays. Again, I was right. You lot out there doubted me, but it's not about being right, and sometimes it's okay to be wrong, and I'm okay with being wrong. But we have a movie now, and we really don't know what the future of it is. Now, surely Zaslav and Discovery must have been apprised of the situation and must understand a decision must be made. Will he be removed from the franchise, or will they just leave it and hope for the best, that everything will be all right next year? But what about the next meltdown? This is the thing. You know, this is clearly not a one-off. We know there were problems on the production. There were problems in Hawaii. You know, how far do we take this thing? And, you know, there's been issues with this guy in other interviews in the past. So I don't think this is just a case of saying this guy needs help and it'll be all right. They may have to make the difficult decision and remove Ezra Miller altogether from the DCEU. But they have a decision here. They can reshoot the movie with another actor, which would be unlikely and very problematic. If I was them, I would release the movie in November. I would put it back. They're still advertising the movie to come out in November, in cinemas, by the way. It's crazy. We need heroes. Oh dear, yeah. Ezra's not going to come across as a hero, is he? So we'll have to wait and see, but I think next week is a huge week for the DCEU. This is Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wife. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you never miss this perfection. And I'll see you again tonight when I'm live. Until then, goodbye, au revoir, Alfie the same.